It is just a cheat code if customers are worth a lot more to you. It's that simple, right? If you buy a customer on the internet, on meta ads, and that's really what you're trying to do, right? Customer acquisition cost, that's what we talk about. If you do that, and that customer is worth a lot of money to you, it creates more value in your business. That's a really simple idea, but it's really helpful. So what I want to do right now is walk through for you. I mean, you probably know that, right? You know that that's true. But what I want to do for you right now is walk through for you how to go about driving returning customer revenue, driving LTV in your business, and really thinking about LTV in your business because it is so powerful, right? So I'm going to give you 6 core elements of thinking about and driving more LTV in your business so you can get your head around it, okay? So 6 core elements. So number 1, most like the starting place for all of this is you need to start tracking it directly. I simply almost never look at a Shopify dashboard at this point that reports revenue because I am not interested in just revenue. I am interested in the difference between new and returning customer revenue. I want to know whether or not the revenue I'm getting is from new customers driven primarily by my ads, or if it is returning customer revenue, and that way I can think about both of them differently because they are so different in your business. The way you create that revenue, generate that revenue in your business is really different. So you need to start breaking down your business that way, thinking about your business that way. And I would just say, make it so that your native dashboard, like the number 1 dashboard you're looking at in Shopify or whatever tool you're using, I don't care, splits out new and returning customer revenue. So you see it, learn it, and start getting your head around how much is being driven in your business. You need to understand it, even if you don't do anything with it quite yet. The first step to increasing it, right, is to measuring it, right? And you manage what you measure. That phrase is really true. You manage what you measure. So start measuring it. Start thinking that way. Stop looking at your native Shopify dashboard. Instead, pull up. I just have this bookmarked for all of my clients. I just have a link to a new and returning customer revenue report, so that every day when I look at the revenue that my clients are getting, I'm looking at the new and the returning customer revenue separately. So start there and then go the next step. Okay, once you've got your head around it, and this is part of the management of your LTV, forecast it. Forecast your business using a cohort-based forecast, splitting out new and returning customer revenue. This will help you in every possible way to think about what is really happening in your business. Now, this is a big job. Running a cohort forecast took me a little while to get my head around. It's not that easy. It's going to take you some time and some effort. There's a couple resources that I'm going to tell you right now that are going to help you to do this, but it's really necessary because if you can start thinking about how an ad today or a new customer today creates value over the long term of your business, you can think so much better about optimizing lots of the things you're doing. That includes thinking about your OpEx, thinking about where to put your energy, thinking about which products to focus on, thinking about sort of what kind of profit and cash is likely to flow in your business. It's just really hard to forecast your business well without doing these sorts of things. Otherwise, you're just guessing too much. So you really should be forecasting your business this way. And the best businesses that I see actually live and die on their cohort forecast. They understand and internalize it, and they think about it and they measure it. And on their weekly and monthly reporting, and this is actually how I do my weekly and monthly reporting with my clients, we report separately new customer revenue forecast versus new customer revenue actual, returning customer revenue forecast versus returning customer actual. And that's built off of a cohort forecast. I was actually talking with a brand recently that was launching from scratch. And even from scratch with no returning customer revenue, we took a guess and looked together at how much returning customer revenue we expected, so that even from day one, we had the beginning of a forecast of this so we could begin to understand actuals versus our expectations and plan the business in real time so that from the moment the business launches, we're thinking about these separate. So let me give you a couple resources that are going to help you think about forecasting your revenue based with a cohort forecast. First, go to my website, ajfgrowth.com, sign up on the email there. There's an email pop-up, or you can just go to the footer that references 4 essential e-commerce resources. One of those is a link to a pre-built, templated, including a guide, cohort forecast that you can use. And you can split it off of there in a bunch of different ways, but there's actually a walkthrough for how to use the sheet there. It's from a venture capital firm called Lightspeed Ventures that they built to help their brands forecast their revenue over time. It's really, really, really helpful, and it's totally free. And I will link out to that for you. And there's a couple other really good resources in there as well, for that matter. So how How much better would your e-commerce business work if you had cheaper COGS, faster lead times, lower MOQs, and better payment terms? That is possible for you by working with my friends at Move Supply Chain, the Philippines-based supply chain expert agency that will help you go track down the best manufacturing options for your business. I worked with Move recently on a business that where Move talked to 50 manufacturers in a week and then another 30 packaging manufacturers like 2 weeks after that. They're incredible. They bring deep expertise. They know what to do to bring value to your supply chain, which I'm convinced is the most under-optimized part of your business, and it has outsized impact on your success. Go to movesupplychain.com to see what they can do for you. It's also affordable. Go do it right now. ajfgrowth.com, sign up for my email list. I'm not going to spam you, and go get access to that. That is a starting place for it because it's a massive, beautiful Google Sheet that you can build off of, okay? Secondly, sign up for Admission. I've talked about this before, but Admission from CTC, every bit of how they are thinking about growing e-commerce businesses starts with a forecast and includes a cohort-based forecast. They are thinking this way. Start taking their courses. There's a bunch of different stuff in there about how to that sort of touches on cohort forecasting. I have a link to Admissions, an affiliate link, in the show notes of this video or this podcast. Wherever you're watching or listening to it, there's a link, and that will actually, if you sign up for Admission, that will actually give you also a free coaching call. You could actually use that coaching call probably to get some help with your cohort forecast. And that's really awesome. So there's all kinds of other great stuff in Admission, but if you want to begin to think this way about your business, think the way I do about e-commerce businesses, Admission is the place to go do it. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee for Admission. So if you go in there, you can't find what you're looking for, there's really no risk to you. So yeah, the link for that's in the show notes. Use the affiliate link. That way you get the free call with it. All right. Okay, so go do that. Learn to forecast your business that way. It is a huge thing. Okay, so once you have that, once you're measuring returning customer revenue separately, once you're forecasting returning customer revenue separately, you start to notice all these little dynamics in your business. And what I'm going to share with you from number 2 through 6 here are the ones that I have noticed over a long time of doing this. Okay. I've now run a lot of cohort forecasts and measured a lot of returning customer revenue in a lot of different e-commerce businesses. And so there's some themes that I see in terms of how to affect it and how to think about it both. Okay. And so number 1 is you need to measure and forecast it. Number 2, returning customer revenue is more durable than you think, surprisingly durable. Okay. There is a rule in software, in software forecasting called, I think it's Andrew Chan, right? I'm just going to quote it. It's called the law of shitty cohorts. Okay. And the idea is that your early adopters for software are much better quality customers than your later adopters. Your early adopters are the super fans. They're much more durable. And so you can forecast your LTV to be much higher on your earlier customers than your later ones. And a lot of people in e-commerce have assumed that's also true. Now, the classic version of this is like, oh, I don't know, if we acquire customers with Facebook ads, I bet they won't be as good of customers as our organic customers. And what I'm here to tell you is that with rare exception, that's actually not true. It is surprising how much LTV cohorts, I mean, at least in my experience, up to $50 million in revenue for an e-commerce business, like a pretty good sized business. Actually, your newer cohorts and your Facebook ads driven cohorts and those kinds of things, even if you acquire them with some kind of a discount, they are surprisingly durable cohorts. That is, they actually are more forecastable to be like your past cohorts than you think, which is really good news for you. You should still forecast the future relatively conservatively because it's always better to miss with more money than with less money. And so I like to beat my returning customer revenue by 5 to 10% every week, every month. That to me is like the sort of ideal outcome rather than even hitting it directly, because that means that I'm forecasted in a way where if anything went wrong, I wouldn't get caught with my pants down in the business, right? So, so to speak. So that's like a really helpful and encouraging thing. But over and over, when I talk to e-commerce operators, they're all really nervous that okay, great, we're going to go set a CAC target based off of this LTV, but what if our future LTV is worse than our past LTV? And again, with rare exception, that's mostly not the case. The exceptions that I have seen are when the earliest batch of customers for a brand come through a deep relationship with an influencer who started the brand. Okay. So if an influencer started the brand, specifically a thought leader, if a thought leader started the brand and their very first group of customers came from their organic channels, like let's say that thought leader has a podcast or a Twitter feed or an Instagram channel or whatever that has a bunch of devotees, a blog, people who've read and paid attention to their content for a long time. Those customers sometimes actually are better than your other ones. But that's like a very small group ultimately. That's typically like your first few months of customers and that's it. Pretty much past that, your future customers, in my experience, are like your past customers in most cases, okay? Assuming you're advertising the same product, you've got the same setup, etc. In fact, if you do some of the things I say in this episode, it's possible that your future customers will be better than your past customers because you will do the work of optimizing that. Again, now I'm not going to forecast that, but it's worth noting that it's definitely possible to do, okay? Okay, so number 2, so it's more durable than you think. Your customers are more durable, more reliable than you think. Number 3, something that I think almost everybody underrates about LTV is that it lasts longer than you think. In e-commerce, we have a way of talking about 60-day LTV, 90-day LTV, 3-month LTV, or 1-year LTV, but nobody ever talks past that 1-year LTV.